Hello, hello. Here we are again, coming to you on 44 different platforms around the world with the Paranormal World Show under the umbrella of Broadcast Team Alpha. And yeah, my name is Aage, and I'm the host, and I have two wonderful, extremely interesting guests with me today. And we are also transmitting on the cosmic, the conscious awakening network. You got to go over and have a look at them because they have close to 50 different shows over there. And I spent some extensive time over there and I enjoyed every second of it because there's all about the stuff that you're not supposed to know about. That's the good stuff, you know that. And also I want to tell you how you can get a hold of me and also my co-host on Broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love. Just go to Broadcast Team Alpha. You can go on YouTube and broadcastteamalpha.com on our website. And then just send us an email and we'll get the email and we'll get back to you and see what we can do for you. And if you are watching us on YouTube right now, that's the place to be because we can also monitor the chat room there. All the other places, they don't give us, TV stations don't give us chat rooms, radio stations don't do it. So we don't really know what's going on over there. But on YouTube, we monitor and we can talk with you. If you have questions, you can ask the questions and we'll see what we can do. I want to say a few words about our guests and kind of unnecessary, but I'm going to do it anyway because these guests are well known around the world. I'm going to go with Philip Kinsella first. He lives in the United Kingdom in London, I think it is, and he's a co-author of the book The Eternal Avatar. He's a longtime UFO and paranormal researcher, and he has been on all the major shows, coast to coast included, and national TV in England and a lot of other places. And he's on the speaking circuit and well known around the world for his research. He goes way beyond the UFOs. He deals with also with the spiritual side of our existence that we think we are living. Some of you later on will understand why I said think we are living. And also, I want to say something about the other guest. That is Chris Myers. And you can find his book on chrismyers.uk. And I also think you can find it on Amazon, so whatever, and wherever books are sold, you can also find it there. So now he is also in London, United Kingdom. He's an artist, a photographer, clairvoyant, and a healer, and also the co-host of the book The Eternal Avatar. And from a young age, he realized that there was more to this existence than what we can see. And he started digging into it and he found this thing we call the soul. And it's an elusive animal, but we're going to talk more about. You're going to have an understanding of what is soul, maybe even what is the difference between soul and spirit. How can we direct it, and maybe how we can communicate with the universal mind that is closely connected to it all. So that's enough from me. I've been talking way too much. We want to hear from the guests. So welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you? Lovely to be here. Thank you.
Hello, thank you.
Hi,
Good.
Chris and Philip. Oh, gosh, you guys have done so much. It's really hard to even think about where would we start. But I think the word that it says right on the front of the book is avatar. And can I ask you, what is an avatar?
Yes, that is interesting. I mean, most people know of the Avatar from the film that was done. And the idea for the book came when Chris and I met under, conditions that would be relevant to synchronicity. And of course, we got together, and it was actually Chris who seeded the thought within my mind when we were, of all places, in a pub. I wasn't drinking spirits, by the way. Chris was no, and
That's true.
the idea of the idea of the avatar he suggested. And I thought, well, yes, let's look into this because I've been involved, and Chris has been involved with conscious studies, life after death studies, healing, all of those attributes centered around what most people call the paranormal. And we wondered. So the book, with regard to the avatar, is interesting because avatar in Hindu means an elevated soul that incarnates into human form. And these
Oh,
were considered to be elevated masters. But we argued and thought, well, each and every one of us are actually avatars in the making because we all come into a body and we go out of this matrix. So that's the idea of the avatar. Chris, your understanding of the avatar?
Yes, absolutely. Because even the subheading gives you a clue to the book. So it's discovering who and what you really are beyond the material realm. And we wanted to give that the message to the book, the reader, that we are asking the reader to look at what we have to present within our own experiences and with history and with science, for the reader to question themselves and the reality. Because I don't think on the day-to-day living that everyone experiences, we don't ask those questions. And I think we need to, because it will make the world and our lives a much richer place.
mm, yeah. And maybe could it be two sides to this avatar? One that kind of refers to us at what we look like when we look in the mirror. But is there also a spiritual side to that avatar that you could talk about?
Yes, it is interesting. The incarnation process. And by the way, Chris recalls his incarnation process. He has memory of that, which is very rare. Most people have memories of past lives. I do. And I have seen the other side on two occasions. Like many people, they come as very powerful memory recalls. But the difference is, yes, the spirit or the soul, we'll get to that later, the consciousness of the being that comes in. I think that when it comes into human form, it molds into this physical material matrix. And the way that I am in this material sense is not how I am, or Chris is, or you are in the spiritual sense. That is pure energy, pure consciousness. But I do believe that when we on this side of life make that passing, when we die, we see our loved ones as we remembered them, as they had been in this avatar on Earth on this side of life. So I think and feel there are two components. One, this is just basically a hand that's going into a glove. This is the glove that we are in at the moment before we make our exit out of this physical third dimensional reality.
You mentioned the word matrix earlier. Uh, is this a kind of matrix that is artificially created by our mind, or is there something real physical to it?
That's
Could could could
that's the question of reality.
yeah, that's the
So yeah,
$6 trillion question. Price has gone up now.
I mean, science is proving that our reality is bendable to our consciousness, and that our consciousness defines what our reality is and what we experience it to be individually. And I think we also express that collectively. I think we have an influence collectively on our reality that we experience. But I think everyone has to look at their own reality and what they experience, bring themselves into the now. And I think with reality, when you say a matrix, in many ways, you can define it as one. From the way I experienced coming into this world, it didn't seem real. It wasn't real to me. It seems very dense, and so yeah, what the physical world that you see is an illusion. It's being filtered through your senses. It's being filtered through your perceptions, your beliefs, back to an early age. So, and we only see this certain spectrum of light. We are limited by our physical body, and it's having our ability to go beyond that, which I think going beyond means going inwards, coming into ourselves, looking inwards. That's where we find the true source of reality, I believe.
Yeah. You know, what you just said, there is some scientific evidence for that. If you have studied, there's a physicist named James Gates. He says that if we look deep, really deep in the fundamental particles creating the fabric of space, we find computer language. We didn't put it there, but it just shows up. And that tells him that everything around us is a computer generated existence that we think we are living in. Could that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes, it does, and it has to be open to debate and part of the theoretical model because sensibly we don't know what we're in. We don't know what space is, and when we go into quantum mechanics, you'll find that exploring beyond the level of the quantum, there is space. We're not meant to be here, and yet within the world of the particle, if we look at that, nothing is separate. Everything is all connected through what we call space-time. So one of the areas that we wanted to promote within the Eternal Avatar, both Chris and myself, is that, this isn't the be-all and end-all. And we also argued that this matrix has or seemingly been hijacked by an alternative force. We're not going to go too much in the negative, but it is apparent. And our book is there to generate hope for the reader in the sense that even though the system that we serve has been trying to shut us down consciously, to dumb us down, and this was very evident back in the day, certainly with control within the churches, within religious ideologies, when if anyone used their mind outside the box, they were considered to be a witch or a wizard and burnt or drowned. And that was all to do with control. So we are exploring these alternative gifts that people have and can very well utilize, providing they do it correctly and with all the right ways, to show that we are much more than flesh and blood entities with a sell-by date. And I think this is important. Chris mentioned this beforehand in the beginning of the show, because this will give us hope. And I love that word because there is sense to our being, there is purpose to our construction, and something that we are fighting for in terms of knowledge and understanding, the true knowledge and true understanding of what we represent as, currently material-based beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
there's been a huge divide created between the physical world, who we think and what we are, and our spiritual world. And I think that connection between the spirit world has been purposely divided from our ability to think that we're connected with it. All the while, it's division, 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 and that's what I call evil. And that's in my expression of evil. It's anything that divides you and separates you from your divine self.
Yeah.
Anything that denies you your true self. Because I think we are all aspects of God. We are all like nodes or fractals, however you want to describe it, of God or higher being, whatever you want to describe it. And I think that's their power, is that it makes us powerless, because if we don't think we're connected to that, then we're isolated, we're alone. We need someone else to guide us. And because we're in fear, our IQ drops. Many things occur physically when we're alone, we feel disconnected. And that's what science again is proving, is that when you are connected to the divine and you are connected in a way that breaks beyond your physical limits, you actually change the structure of your cells. I mean, just going into a room, if you are an elevated soul, as it's been recorded for the likes of, like, say, if you believe in Jesus or uh, any other high realm being, that they affect the room. You can feel their energy before you even see them, and I think that's what we can do. Once we tune in and take on our power, our sovereignty, we can affect the world and people in such extraordinary ways that we just are beyond us, that we are able to comprehend at the minute. And I think certain people now are discovering that power within us all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing what we are able to create within this illusion. Yeah, I think it probably may not be any limitations at all. Do you think?
we impose our own limitations, don't we? We're our own,
Yeah.
we create our own demise in many ways. And I think that if you believe that God is outside and you're unable to connect with God, then already that tells you that you purposely separated yourself, intentionally or not, either it's doctrine or whatever beliefs you have. And I think that's where you've lost your ability. So you need to regain that. You need to believe that the voice in your head, the hunches that you get, your gut reactions to things, these are all your ability to break beyond the senses and connect to something much more connected in a field, which is like that's been explained, and that we are all connected to a field. And I think God is able to connect with you. I think God can talk to you if you allow him to be, and you believe that he's there or she is there, however whatever gender you want to give it.
Oh, that brought up another question for me about God. What is it?
Well, that is the another, $1 million question, isn't it? Chris and I believe that it's an omnipresent force. It has many faces. And of course, within our history, you'll find fragmented, structured belief systems. But going back into the ancient codices, Akkadian codices, Sanskrit codices, you will find a version that they called myth, very much like a lot of the religious interpretations, which tells a very different story. And of course, they were gods, not God. And we understand that perhaps we had been some kind of infusion from these so-called gods to create us and bring us into the material. That is also dealing with the Gnostic texts, which are very controversial, which were found in Nag Hammadi in 1945. But the question is God, goddess. I believe that it is shaped within the way that you view that energy, that source. I've always had this romantic version of this infinite being of energy that we're all connected to. And it is possible, it's conceivable to assume that each and every one of us here in this material existence that have little or no memory of our sovereignty beyond this material realm are creating memories. Memories, which now I've spoken to Chris about this, and we've mentioned this. That it's interesting we pull from a possible future into the present, but nothing is ever present because it becomes a past of memory. And it's possible that we're creating a platform of experience, rather like a producer creating a film, and you have all the problems while the film's being made and fluffing the lines. But then when the film is made, you're in the film. So I think that we're all co-creators to the one. There's many arguments about people thinking that it's the man with the beard, or we have to think about the energy of Gaia. So it has many faces, many forms, but I believe it's the way that you translate that reality. Your view of reality will be very different from someone else's. And this is why we have the problem in terms of the so-called paranormal, because everyone is trying to make everyone else believe in one person's version when it could be multiple versions of separate realities altogether.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the word God has been given a meaning it was never meant to have. I think also that, well, in my research out of the Sumerian tablets, I found that the word God, which was
Yes.
made into God, that meant great leader. So if somebody say that God came to me and gave me a message, that means a great leader came to me and gave me a message. I have no problem with that.
Yes.
But also, if you look in the Bible, for those that read the Bible, look in John's, it says right in there, you are God's.
Correct. Absolutely. And this is Chris, you explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. I believe so. I mean, obviously, I really that's one of my strengths in my beliefs in the eternal avatar that I carry throughout the book. Uh, we have to be. I think because on the other side, it's timeless. It's a
Yeah.
timeless reality, and in that reality, nothing changes. Nothing's able to change. I think being in this world, we're choosing to be in a world where we can see opposites of what we are and what we need to be so we can develop. And I think that's, well, I know because when I came into this world, I saw that reality. I saw the variations of what I could be and the choices I could take. And it's all about remembering yourself, taking on challenges and see if you still remain true to yourself and your beliefs, and connect with that higher part of you, so that on the other side you say, yep, that is who I am, because you've been put through the test. It's a test of your mettle.
Yeah, Chris, explain your incarnation process. They would find that very interesting, your memory of that, the
Yeah,
recall.
it was such a young age. I was about 5 at the time, so at that age, I had no idea what I was experiencing, and it was an experience that was imposed on me. It was forced on me, because every time it started to happen, I didn't want it to happen. I didn't want to go through it because it was so traumatic, and so it starts where I was in a world of peace and light. You can imagine all the cliche expressions that you've heard before of energy, but I wouldn't say I was unhappy, but I just wanted to test myself. I wanted to know who and what I was made of. It's all well and all good being in a great place, but when it's that oneness, you kind of lose yourself within it. You want to find yourself. You want to know what you are, and this is why you're coming into this world, like I just explained. So I was in this world where I could hear voices saying, "Are you ready? Do you really want to make this decision?" And I was certain that I could. I could go through this process, and I could see, like I said, various levels of right, not right and wrong. My life was either going to be true to myself, or every challenge I lost myself, and I lost my way. But I was sure that I would, no matter what, go through these obstacles and challenges, and stay true. And the moment I made the decision, I was gone. I left. There was no other second guessing. I was in, and it was dark. It was dark and disconnected and isolating, and I was being pushed away from where I was, while all the while being pulled to where I was going. I didn't know where I was going, but that was the only comfort that I had, was that I felt that there was a destination for me in this complete strange world that I was entering into. And it continued from there. I was being taken further and further away, all the while forgetting that lovely warm place I just left, and the dawning of the stark reality of the choice that I've made, because everything that was coming towards me as a speck, but then became much bigger, and it just all consuming, and in different forms. It was matter, energy, light, ribbons of other worlds and other possibilities. It was just a whole mishmash. It was like I was going through everything that I could experience or choose to be at, but no, I was going somewhere else. And it was just the fact that because I was external now and I was just detached, those things could influence me, that I was unable to feel connected with it, that it could hurt me or influence me in some way. That was a cold reality of that, and made you feel very vulnerable. And so I was going faster and faster, and I didn't know where I was going, until in the end there was this golden light, and it just became bigger and bigger, and then bang, the experience was over. And then I woke up and I was just crying because it was so traumatic, and I didn't feel
Wow.
like where I was home. It was where I was home. So I'm thinking and confused, why am I here? What am I doing? And my mum and dad consoled
Mm.
me, but they didn't know why I was crying. I was too young to understand, until many years later, processing it, understanding, and it just clicked, because I was interested in the subject as well. I always have been, with experiences I've had as a child, and being a twin, and being connected with him, and seeing ghosts, and having spirit talk through to me, and being able to give messages and healing. It's just ongoing. If anyone tells me that they deny God, it's fine, because that's their experience, that's their belief. And I think that's the thing with personal experience, is that that's all you can gauge your world is through personal experience. You can, all well and good listening to other people, but take that on board, but always be open-minded.
Mm. So in that experience, did you see when you were born, between there, did you see that you had different future avenues that you could make by making different decisions?
Each lifeline was different, absolutely, and each end of that lifeline had a different, I wouldn't say goal, but just a different position. There was no, like I said, there was no description of right or wrong. It was just more of how true you can be. That was the only thing that was the message that's the only message I could say in this life, is be yourself, be true to yourself. Just that's it. That's the golden spiritual truth and rule of this
Yeah.
world, is to be that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Chris is absolutely correct, because when we hear of those cases of panoramic life review when someone has passed over, and people then say, well, there's, heaven and hell, but the judgment is no judgment. It is a reflection upon the soul, or the spirit rather. to then feel how they made other people feel and how those people were and reacted to the person that's passed over. So it's a shared experience. And I did read somewhere just recently that there is no judgment. So I believe Chris is absolutely correct because he recalls the incarnation process, the primary part of ingesting into the womb, so to speak, before the severance of memory occurs, which is very interesting. So I believe that, God is omnipresent, that we're all part of this. I think it's glorious and wonderful because we are able to create, because as human beings currently in this form, as spiritual entities, we have love, and love creates, and creation is nothing less than spectacular. And I think as co-creators, because we are all creators, we're all part of the creation process. And it's just very sad that we're living in a system that's trying to crush love. It's trying to crush individuality. It's trying to crush the very nature of what we represent. And Chris and I also have questioned transhumanism, the fear and the horror of transhumanism. So it's not just about, the avatar coming in and reminding the reader that they are holier than thou, they're greater than what they could ever believe or imagine to be, but also about measuring the other side of the coin of how to combat the negativity. I mean, sure, as human beings, we all go up and we all go down. We're like, a yo-yo. And sometimes it's hard for us to exist and continue in this system on a daily basis. If we think about it, there's a world out there, Gaia, the Earth system, beautiful planet, beautiful world. And I think that it was hijacked. I think that, it's senseless to think that you've got to have money to buy food, to drink water, to clothe yourself, to have somewhere to live. This is money. So I believe that many avatars are now beginning to waken up. And we also, just to finish off here, the fascinating subject is most people believe that it's just heaven and earth, and people have this vision of heaven of floating around and being like a clam. But there are other dimensions of reality, and we also take into consideration star seeds, other planets, systems of reality, and where those spirits, souls incarnate into and through. So, as humans, we're looking at the Earth like, oh, we're the only planet of choice, and we're sitting in the mass of God knows whatever we are contained in. But my God, there are many other systems of reality out there. And this is why there's so much corruption within knowledge, within intellect, and trying to dumb us down. No, 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 we're not having it, are we, Chris?
No, we're not. No.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
And in the internal avatar, I describe that we all have a light, and that can be very nondescript when someone says you have a light. We all have a light that we carry. But I've used an acronym with light where L is love, I is inspiration, G is gratitude, H is hope, and T is truth. And I think those are categories that if you make decisions based on all or one of those, you're doing the right thing. That's part of your light. So, and that's within the book as well that I've described, and it carries on a few other lessons that the reader can understand to help integrate that kind of information into their lives on a day-to-day basis. Because I think some things you can read a book and you forget, so it's good to integrate. People don't want to close a book and you move on and you fall back into your old routines. It's nice to have something that you can link onto, latch on, and just remember those names, those descriptions, and just use it.
And Chris's poetry in there is nothing less than beautiful and channeled no less from a higher
Mm.
source, because the creative aspects do filter through to our consciousness, and you can tell the energy of some people. You can try it here on Earth. You could be in a crowded room and there's some people, some energies you're not drawn to, and other people you feel very close to. So we are energy beings. We are vibrating. We're structured on a basis of vibrations, of energy vibrations. And the really good question is, in the film Avatar, there was a group of scientists that had to incarnate into an alien form in order to live on their world. And our argument also, in a very, structured way, not arguing, but in a structured way, we must have some kind of avatar that we are to meet when we return back to the other side, a bodysuit of sorts, even if it's light. And this is interesting from one dimension to another. So I believe that we're living through extraordinary, wonderful times where a lot of avatars are awakening, as I said before, and realizing that, not everything is as it should be, living by a system that is lied to us. And we can see this is evident in three categories that interest me. One is UFOs and the secrecy of that, and why there is secrecy to that. Two is life after death, where the system is quite happy to promote belief because there's no scientific evidence to support, belief, because they're quite happy to believe in something. That's no danger. And also creation. And if you pull those three subject matters together, it forms a triangle, and that triangle shows you that they're all connected. That this may tell us more about the truth of what we are as eternal avatars and of our main purpose and why this system, this matrix that you mentioned, is holding us for some reason. So that's an area we're still trying to work out. But the beautiful part is that we are eternal, immortal beings, and
Yeah.
we are love. We incarnate in love with creativity, and everything on this planet that we see around us, bar from nature, has been created from the mind. And this is something the system does not want people to know, that you are brilliant, that you're amazing, that you can create anything within your mind. It's a little bit hard trying to pull it through and structure it in the material realm, but everything is there. It's a
Yeah.
gateway, portal.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, we create every day without knowing it.
Mm.
But when we also look at the brain operates on memory of 95% of what we do every day is based on what we have done before. We should put that on the shelf and start creating new things in our mind, because once you have created something in the mind, it goes into the universal mind and sits there as energy. Because remember, thoughts are things, right? Things
That's
are
They,
right.
electrical impulses. They don't go away. You put it in the universal mind. It's sitting there. You can go back and forth and visit it every day and pull it into the physical with you, and it becomes real what you
Thought,
want.
yeah, thoughts are living things, and they know that.
Yeah.
And I think what's also worry is most people tend to make decisions, but they've already made that decision unconsciously 10 seconds ago. That's a fact. And so we're already making decisions based on bias, on expectation and
Yeah.
previous experiences. So, and I think that's where we are manifesting is most of the time subconsciously and not consciously. So we need to reverse that to get a hold of this reality and make sure we get what we want. And I think we are all frequencies, like Nikola Tesla always said, everything's all frequencies. And I think that if you are of a certain frequency, that everything around you will resonate and be drawn to you naturally anyway. So if you are
Yes.
internally peaceful, in harmony, then those loving, peaceful, harmonic things will come to you. It's just that quite often we have beliefs that will stop it from coming to us. We have to let go of what's stopping it rather than trying to manifest it because it's in its nature to come to us anyway. But I think we have to get and drop the things that are stopping us. Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
also, and I'll just say here as well too, absolutely. But also, what's interesting is that we have so many arguments within the field of paranormal UFO cryptozoological research. Where are they all hanging out? At the end of the day, we could be actually projecting those that become manifest within perhaps the astral planes or those higher dimensions or lower dimensions of reality that are coming back towards us. If you take the big bad wolf, for instance, we have the dogman, known as the werewolf, those accounts in America, and it's almost as if it's kind of like having a joke on us, like, yeah, there's a werewolf, and we've placed that within mythology, but spelling words. Words are power.
Yeah.
Words create. Spelling, a spell. And I
Mm.
believe that the system knows that as avatars, we can create through the mind, but also giving it power, energy to manifest in those other areas of reality. So this is why we've got a mess in terms of these alternative subject matters of UFOs, cryptids, and creation even, because, you know, there's so much out there and we're all trying to, again, squeeze it into the box when actually we could ourselves be the ones responsible in creating that and seeing that coming back with no form of control or transparency to enter into our system of reality. So I
Yeah.
think it's just proving that we are creators, very powerful, but let's put that in mythology. Let's make that like some kind of fiction. But don't they say that fiction normally becomes fact, don't they?
Yeah, and actually you got it, because look at the word or magic, abracadabra. Remember that word? It is
Yes,
an old Middle Eastern language, means I create as I speak. That's what it
correct.
goes back to. So when you
Vibration.
speak the words, uh, the the words themselves are only half the equation. It is the mental images and the emotion that goes with it that create the power behind the word. So
Mm.
we got to be really careful about what we think.
Yeah, and the words we use, because I mean, people say, "Oh, bless you." Well, I think I don't quite often like to use the word bless because it's be less, and that was a way to make you belittle you,
Oh,
to disempower you. So really, you're supposed to say, "God be with you," not "bless you," because, and also with praying, people are told to pray with their hands together. That's not our natural way to tell the universe what we want. That actually closes you off. You're supposed to pray with your hands up into the ether, with because we are antennas, so we should be praying with our hands open and upwards and outwards with our arms outstretched, which you'll see in
ah,
hieroglyphics and many other drawings, is that they are reaching up to the sky, and that is the natural physical position we should be doing when we're praying.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, and
realize that.
also the manifestation programs. You see a lot of these books on the market. Oh, bring this into your life, bring that into your life. I think the process is quite simple. It's very hard to do, but they're all saying the same thing. Believe that you have it, feel that you have
Yeah.
it, get in touch with your emotions. It's yeah, and this is the thing. It's emotional energy and structured belief that sends that into the ether. You know, and many years ago, we had summoned a UFO through a CE5 initiative. Wasn't something way off in the distance, it was very close. And that proved something to me, whether or not I had unknowingly, unwittingly manifested that within my mind, or there was some alternative intelligence that connected with that. So, what we're looking at within the eternal avatar is that you, as the centralized avatar, temporarily in human form, are a creator to the one. And Chris said it. He's always said to me, you don't need to be in a church or a temple to find God. God is within you, and you can access that information at any point, at any time, because you are part of the one. We're all connected. But this system that we're in is trying to divide and separate that, to break it down, to pull it down to a very basic level of understanding. But no, you know, all of us here, we understand, although not all of it, we have an idea, a centralized outline that we know that something is occurring that is far more powerful, you know, omnipresent, that we're all connected to. So yeah.
Uh, and tell you, for the ones of you that joined us late, we are down at the bottom of the hour here, and we are talking with Philip Kinsella and Chris Myers about their book, The Eternal Avatar. And this conversation is going deep, folks. It really compels me now to see the rest of it in the book. By the way, do you have a book laying there so you can show it off?
Yes, I have. It's this one here.
There you go. That's the book that you want to look at, because Eternal Avatar,
Avatar. Yeah.
that means it lasts forever. Eternal is forever. So then we wonder, how far does back does it go, and where does it go in the future?
Yes.
Eternal means there is no beginning and there's no end. But
Yeah.
where was there a beginning of all of us? I know the Big Bang is dead. That we know that didn't happen.
No.
But what was there a beginning?
I think life is life. It's a
Yeah.
state. It's there was no start or end. There can't be. It's just eternal. It's I know because in our concept of time and space, there always has to be a
Mhm.
start and end. But in a God state, it just is. And I don't think that when we say afterlife, I don't entirely believe that. After this physical life, I believe, yes. But I think life is living and dying, living and dying. That is life. I think that's, we tend to describe things in this world as separate and divided. And yeah, we do see us living and breathing as life itself, but there's a life out beyond this one, and it's just life. It's just a phase that you pass through the physical world into a spiritual one, and that's just your avatar being released, and you're leaving that avatar to experience another one, another reality, another dimension, another a realm, And I think where it comes to reincarnation, people often remember their previous lives on earth because you're in this world, you're in this realm, so it comes to you more easily. That's not to say you've had other experiences in other realms and realities and other worlds. So I mean, it's I'm a believer that we do live and experience other lives, absolutely, and there's proof of that within children having knowledge that's just beyond them, and they have
Mhm.
memories of how they were killed, their previous parents. The more you look into it, it's hard to deny that we are beings that will live on.
Yes, and the human on this planet Earth is so far removed from all other nature. And we have been afforded consciousness. And this is interesting because we have evolved. And I do not believe one bit that we had developed from the hominid. I believe there could be an infusion of the hominid with the spirit, with a spark of divinity, so that we can adapt within this environment on a physical level. But if you think about us as humans, as evolving avatars, we are so far removed from all other elements of the paranormal. Everything in the paranormal is able to communicate through the mind. We as humans find it very difficult to do that. And I think, this could be a universal experiment. It's possible that we have elected to come here temporarily to see what it would be like to have that severance or illusion of severance from our natural sovereignty, from spirit. So we
Mhm.
go through a process of forgetting in order to create the memories. We could be the avatars that are creating new worlds through the memories that other soul spirits can experience on those high levels of reality. We don't know. But it is interesting to speculate that we are so far removed, and a clear indication that we are not the true inhabitants of this planet. So, whoever created us in the physical, the spirit would have been brought in anyway, but in the material, the physical, says a lot about the adaptation of the human because we're shy from our very own sun. We're not adapted very well to the environment at all. So, it tells you that we are not from this planet. We're not from this world at all. So this is very interesting, and I believe that it's an incredibly fascinating, discovery for us to understand that there is so much more than the primary level of evolution. That's a very basic model, but flawed, absolutely flawed, because it's telling us a different story from the past, which is fabulous and fantastic in its symmetry. Gods, not God, although we're part of the divine force, but gods, creators. Unfortunately, we weren't meant to last in the physical, and maybe that is part and parcel of our journey, short journey here, because I mean, would I want to be here for eternity? In this body? No, I don't think so. Me and my body divorced years ago, but there we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets complicated when you step out of the box.
Yeah.
The box that the reality that we call it has created for you, but it is up to us to change it because there is a canvas out there and we're the painter. In fact, there's some evidence to that too, and that is I've been following Greg Braden from I read his books and I watch his videos and stuff, and he says he's been talking to physicists, and they say that when you take the equations and the concept of everything in our existence, put it on the blackboard using the concept of quantum mechanics to decipher it, we come out and find that there's a 93% chance that we are living in a simulation. That number is too big. I think there's something to that. And then, if it is a simulation in the physical, that means that what created it is not physical. It comes from outside the physical. So here we go again, going back to the beginning. I think in the beginning, the simulation, the start of the simulation, the first picture of something showing up in this vibration may be the beginning. Could that make any sense?
Yes, it's a puzzle to be sure. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's another subject entirely, forgive the pun, but with the Greys, for instance, interested in our genesis in reproduction, could they be the geneticists? We don't know. We have to be open to all forms of speculation. Could they be the creators working on a higher cause to implement these certain changes or alterations within our physiology on a physical level, or indeed an interdimensional level? We don't know. Their argument is, are they demons from the lower plane trying to hijack their way into this system of reality now? We don't know. But what's interesting when you go back to that point of the quantum and the mechanical nature, wouldn't it be a shock to find out that we were all created by some intelligent computer? I mean, and we are now they're intent in bringing AI into the fore. And as human beings, I don't know what the big deal is. Why is most of the human race so negative and to wanting to turn everything round for the worse, not for the good and betterment for our species? But I do believe that it's possible. And think about it. People will be horrified if people said, actually, I've got some bad news for you, that the creator is actually a computer that's generating this. I mean, can you imagine the look on people's faces? But what a beautiful connection, because if that was some kind of technology, it's created us and life. And we are seeing life in this temporary form on a physical level, but knowing that there are alternative dimensions of reality. I wouldn't care if God was a machine, because that machine has given us love, has given us the ability to create. That is the most amazing thing, and to give us, individuality, as it were. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, when we talk about machines and who made the machine, so my belief and concept in life is, you're right, it is a simulation, it is a matrix, and it's all just frequencies and electrical impulses. It's fake. It's fooling our senses into believing that this is real. And yeah, there's there's the thing about if you go to the other side, and you see the light, you fall back into that loop where you come back again, which is like they call it loosh, where they take the energy of your soul while you're here, as though they're farming us here. That's another concept that's quite possible. But while we're talking about life and God, and we haven't spoken about hell, and I think hell is just a place that's godless. It's a void of God. So anything that's dark, that's disconnected, will be there, and they'll create whatever it is of that within that level of their frequency, of their expectation. So I think there's not a man with a devil and a pitchfork, as described in many religious books. So if that's some form of comfort, I believe that, yeah, when we go to the other side, it will represent what you expect it to be, to be, so you assimilate comfortably into it, and the people will be there how you hope to see them. Yeah, and I think that there is a stepping process on the other side to gradually realize where you are and to accept that higher realm, because I think it would be quite a shock.
Yeah. And
And yeah, sorry,
right.
I was just going to say here, and we were going to just highlight the difference, the possible theoretical difference of soul and spirit. And most people believe that the soul is just animation and the spirit is the core essence of what we represent as the true totality of our intelligence, our consciousness. So people think, well, is spirit you as you are? Well, yes, it is. It's energy. And consciousness is what we are. It's energy that's being facilitated temporarily through this form and conditioned through the brain as a transmitter receiver to hold us temporarily in this reality. And people don't have to die to have an near-death experience, or astral project, or have it out of body. So I think that being locked temporarily into the system of reality in this vessel, we're able to journey beyond it, if only temporarily. Chris even remembers that when he was younger, a baby, he was trying to get out of his body. And this may be indicative of his memory recall of the incarnation process. Explain, Chris, what you went through.
Yeah, I don't remember to the extent where my dad was telling me that I was disrupting the neighbors. But in my mind, as a baby, I was in the cot. If I hit myself onto the base of the bed, eventually I could lose my body. I'd come out. I would leave it, and I didn't feel I was in my body anymore. And I was disturbing the neighbors, and they were knocking on the door. And my dad said, "Well, what can I do? Chain him down to the car," because the cot was lifting as I was banging against the base of the cot. The cot was lifting and going bang, bang, bang. So I was always finding a way. I even remember leaving the cot and dismantling it and walking over to my twin brother's cot because I just didn't want to be contained in any way, shape, or form. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, you mentioned hell. A
yeah.
lot of people have problems with that. They say that you go to war and you kill a bunch of people in the war and you come back and then you find religion and the preacher is telling you, you're going to hell, boy, because of all those people you killed. Well, first of all, I want to say something about hell because hell, that came out of the meetings in 325 in Constantinople or Nicaea back then. If you read the notes from the meeting, they were arguing the 223 people that created the first draft of the Bible. They could not agree on anything in the beginning.
Hmm.
And they found we need a boogeyman to scare people into compliance, and they concocted hell and Satan. That's where they come from. It was a created concept, and all we have to do is to stay away from those thoughts and concepts in our mind, because what we allow to live in our mind the most is what we're going to have in our reality.
Hmm.
That's correct. It's almost like an enforced creation. If we
Yeah,
look at the Greys, for instance, they may not be the real face of the force of the phenomena behind us operating. It could be something that was in vogue, and then of course has been shaped in the human psyche, and then that force presents itself in the image of how we see the aliens that we call in ufology. This is again with Chris and I, and a lot of the theoretical work that we've been doing is suggesting that I think that the system, if they were to be honest with us and say, look, UFOs, we've got something to tell you. It's not quite the way that we've sold it to you in the media. It's very different. And I think this is the problem because we are chasing something that is operating on higher levels of dimensions of reality. People keep saying, I want proof. Whatever proof you have, even the little bits of photographic evidence that you capture, oh, it upsets everyone. They can't have it because they want to continue with the illusion of how they see the
yeah,
phenomena. This is the problem. And this is why, as Chris has quite rightfully said, within life, it is an individual journey.
yeah.
You will see things the way that you see that reality, and it's very different from someone else's. So this is the problem we'll have, but it's something we've addressed within the Eternal Avatar.
Wow.
And we also mentioned about transhumanism, the way humanity's going,
Yeah,
and as you mentioned, Augie, about Greg Braden, he's a great advocate of making sure that the population knows itself before we lose it.
yeah,
He's really pushing for that because he knows that what will be sold to us with transhumanism is that it'll be an upgrade. You'll be a better person. You'll be a bit better at doing this and that. And science is proving that no, actually, transhumanism and microchips, it's limited by its physicality. I know we can have fast processors, but the brain is faster. The synapses can expand and grow and more and more and more faster than any computer when it's pushed. And I think that's the trouble. We're at a time now where if we don't find ourselves, we're going to lose ourselves before we realize the potential of who and what we are, and before we lose it. That's the thing. We've got to know this before we decide to go down this road of transhumanism, because I think that's going to disconnect us. That'll be another final nail in the coffin. I know it's not a nice way to express it, but yeah, we do need to find, and we do need to know our source and our goal and our origins, and really work hard within our spiritual life before we say goodbye to it.
Yeah,
And the other thing as well too is that when you have been touched by the singularity, when you have been touched by this phenomena, it changes you on a deeper level. I can't explain it.
yeah,
It is beyond a feeling of godliness, of magic, of something that, and the system says to you it doesn't exist. And I'm like, well, I must be lying or you must be lying. But they have nothing on it because like Chris and with me and with you, when you have this spark, this beautiful creative nature within you, this curiosity, like a child caught in a magician's spell, C.S. Lewis said that, what magic there is to be explored, what hope there is for all of us. And this is the underlining factor of our book to say, look, we're in a world and you've got to wake up because there's so much more magic that you harbor within yourself as a eternal avatar that's in a temporary bodysuit.
yeah.
So I think it's very important for people to understand and interlock with their magic because there's a lot of people out there who are sad, who have beliefs that they feel they can't do what they really want to do. And our argument is you can do it against all adversity. You can do what you want as long as it's kind and it's loving and it's creative. Just go for it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I see now that, oh gosh, we only got 4 minutes left, but we never talked about UFOs at all or the extraterrestrials. So chances are there's another show hiding in here somewhere later, guys. Well, maybe we could do that next time. But hold up that book again and tell us where they can get a hold of you and where they can get the book. And I'll tell you, folks, after listening to them now, I need to read that book because there is pearls in there that I never thought of.
So we can get that from Amazon, um, and there's quite easy access to that, both anywhere in the world, and also with the other book. What's the other one, Philip?
Mhm.
The other
Got
book.
the other book, the
That,
Eternal
yeah,
Left
yeah. Sorry, the book.
Guardians.
The other one that's being sold, not Amazon. There's another one,
Oh,
Oh,
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and
Barnes
Noble.
and
Sorry,
Noble and
yeah,
in bookshops. Yeah, the book can be ordered in any of the book. Well, you can order it in any bookshop because it's not affiliated to Amazon. It's published
yeah.
through Brandon
It,
Thomas's original publishing.
yeah,
yeah.
if you have the title, you can go to any bookshop and they can get it.
Mm.
I thought you were going to plug my other book, Guardians of the Dead, Chris.
Yeah, well, that was the book I was reading that led me to Philip, which was amazing because there were certain coincidences and what I was seeing and feeling, and a
Yeah,
voice in my head was saying, "Meet Philip." Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing, meant to
And
be.
we're both twins, and we both had Labradors, golden Labradors called Prince, and we found that our lives kind of like mirrored in many ways the same. So it's kind of strange, and this also is explained in the Eternal Avatar of that connection with souls, spirits, and the interconnection of those links from other star systems of
hmm.
reality. And yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, it was, and it's still amazing. Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question that I didn't want to tell you about because I wanted to blindside you. Uh, the question is, I want an answer from both of you, and that is, if you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
It will be cliche, but it will be your your fellow man is you. You know, you we are all connected. We can only react with love and peace and harmony. I don't know, I know it sounds cliche, but that is it. That's what we're here to do and
Yeah,
express on many levels in all aspects of our lives. You know, this fear and hate is the lower levels of frequency. We're just not meant to be there anymore. I think we're going in cycles that we just need to break away from. So
that
peace and love. I know it sounds, but it
that
is that is God's state. Love, light, and you know,
that
good of
sums
connected.
yeah, that sums it up. What about you, Philip?
I will say fight the system of negativity because it's disrupted and tried to switch us off. And it is evil. It's a cancer and it must be destroyed. And the way to do that is to find love within your heart, to not be affected by what's going on around you, and to believe in your truths and believe that you are eternal and that you can do whatever you want to do as long as it is good and it's to help your fellow kind. You know, but we are living in a very dark time And it's something that must and has to be brought down. I'm sorry, it must be brought down, and we can do that through love, because the system does not understand love, humility, creativity. It doesn't understand those qualities at all. That would be my message.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So then I'll talk to the listeners and the viewers out there that take this to heart. Look within yourself, because all of us have questions we don't have answer to.
Correct.
We can go instead and find them, but there's a shortcut. Look to someone else that may have the answer and listen, and then go inside and ask yourself, is that the right answer for me? So a good place to start there, get a hold of that book and read it. You're going to find some answers. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for being with us, and this was so much fun.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for having us on, and really appreciate it, and your patience and your time. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, really good. And then if you are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. That'll help us a lot. And then until next time, be good to each other.